Patriots. Look at this group, huh? Holy smokes. We know how to throw a party, or don't we? I think they call this a super spreader. But we might be getting past that right now. Oh, you're going to help me fix the mic. All right. Thank you, Mark. Yeah, no doubt about it. Thank you. I appreciate that. We'll get it figured out. You guys, I want to be candid with you. While I appreciate this overwhelming show of support, I'm also not so arrogant to think that this has everything to do with me, but rather I know that you guys are here because we all know in our hearts something is wrong right now.
Yeah.
Something is wrong in America right now. And sadly, something's wrong in Idaho. And we know that. And not everyone can articulate it. Not everyone can explain what's going on or point to a specific cause. But at the end of the day, in your heart, you just know something's out of place. And so you show up. And that means everything. And I want you to know, I'm not going to name names, but an event like this does not happen because I was out here 2 in the morning putting it together. An event like this happens because there is a group of committed patriots that want to make sure conservatives in America have a voice. And so I thank them. Thank you to all our volunteers. This is incredible. Thank you. Yeah, this is absolutely incredible. And that is what we need right now. We need people, patriots, people who love and will zealously defend America and the American dream. We need those folks to link arms right now. This fight is not going to be up to just me. This is much bigger than any one person. I loved Pastor Mark, what he had shared with us in his prayer. All of us together are greater than any one of us by ourselves. That's what these times call for. No, thank you. The reason that you guys are here today, the reason you feel something is out of place right now is because the American dream is on the brink. It is. You know I'm telling the truth. You can feel it. The American dream is on the brink, and right now, Idaho is at a crossroads. It's going to be us who determines which direction we go. Are we going to continue to go down the route that we've seen so many other places go before, or are we going to embrace the things that made this the greatest nation on earth? But that question isn't just up to me to answer. It's up to every one of you here. You have to make the commitment. You have to make the commitment that you're going to win in this war, because we are in a spiritual battle right now, folks. This is a war of good against evil. Make no mistake about it. But you're showing up, and that's absolutely what counts. And in Idaho, we all have a different story about our upbringing and our roots. Some folks here, like my wife, like my son, are native Idahoans. And even we have generational Idahoans here in the crowd.
Yeah.
And others have flocked here. And this isn't the first time in Idaho's history that people have flocked to this area. Long before any of us were alive, right, there was the gold rush. People came here in pursuit of material wealth, right? They wanted to work and they wanted to experience the fruits of their labors. So they came to Idaho. They came here and they mined and they worked hard. And this is where they laid their roots. Today, people flock to Idaho not in search of material wealth. People are flocking to Idaho in search of an idea. People are flocking here because they're looking for the last safe space for the American dream. I've heard it said, and I'll repeat it because it bears repeating. Idaho's the last foxhole, folks. Idaho's the last foxhole. We've seen so many other states tear themselves apart with ideas that have destroyed countries and killed millions of people. And let me tell you exactly what's going on today and why you're experiencing what you're experiencing today. The reason is because in this state, we are slowly adopting an ideology that is the absolute antithesis of everything that made America great. That ideology is founded in jealousy, hate, and envy. That is the ideology of socialism and Marxism. Well, we're at a time now where that idea pervades party lines. This isn't any longer a Republican issue or a Democrat issue. This is an Idahoan issue. This is an American issue. Because it has pervaded the Republican Party just like it's totally hijacked the Democrat Party. We've seen the Republican Party become the party of socialism light. We're just the nicer, friendlier, cuter, fluffier form of socialism. But we're not like those socialists on the other side of the aisle. Folks, that has to change. It has to. But you have to understand how we got to the point where we are now if you're going to be effective in fighting it. And it is because our understanding and our children's understanding has been framed for years to look at the world in a certain way, through a certain lens. We now have been teaching our children, I was taught it, I'm sure many others here were taught it. We are learning through our own education system to oppose our American values. It's happening across this country. It's happening here in Idaho. Here in Idaho, Boise State University, one of our largest universities in the state, the largest, excuse me, has a racial inventory quiz now. And one of the questions on that quiz asks, what event led to the rise of the idea of white supremacy? And I'll be darned if the correct answer to that question isn't the Declaration of Independence. That's here. And you want to know why it happens? Just so you know, these ideas do not get marketed because they're compelling, because people are convinced on the soundness of it. These ideas are marketed because you pay for them to be marketed. Because we have elected officials that take our tax money and funnel it to anti-American activists. That day is over. Yeah. It's over. And some folks may look at me and they might think, gosh, Ed, I'm not sure if you're ready for this. If this is the time for you, shouldn't you run first for the House or for the Senate, right? Folks, there's no time left. Yep. You're out of time. Yep. If we don't step in this fight right now and commit to winning it, we will lose everything that we love in this country. I can promise you that. I make that promise to you. My family has seen it. On both sides, through generations of my family, they've seen the destruction of socialism and communism. And those ideas will cause us to lose the very land we love. But in my case, I represent part of that story, the story that is America. Think of it. Think of our founding. This country was founded by young patriots with a dream. 19 of the signers for the Declaration of Independence were in their 20s and 30s. Thomas Jefferson was 33 years old when he signed that document. And I don't think anyone asked Thomas Jefferson if he had worn a crown before. Are you sure? You know, you really should wear the crown first. Folks, how about this? How about we get rid of the crown? Yeah. We need to do that again today. Because there is an aristocracy in this country today. And there's an aristocracy in Idaho today. And it's the most un-American thing that I can think of. And it is that force that we have to overcome. We have to. And so I'm not here because I'm going to raise millions and millions of dollars and we're going to blanket the state with TV ads and radio ads and mailers. No, I'm here because I represent a small part of a movement. And that movement is patriots linking arms and committing to win the fight for the soul of America. And you represent that. You have a place in this fight right now. Just as in generations past, there are times when because of all the uncertainty, because of all the commotion, that a fog sets in. And we're in one of those times right now. A fog has set in. Folks can't see very clearly out in front of them. But you know what those times are for? To bless us for the opportunity to make a fundamental change. Yeah. And who would have thought that a conservative candidate could run on a platform of change? But it's just gotten that bad. It's time. But that's going to be what's in our favor. Conservatism is counterculture now, folks. Young people love counterculture stuff. They love the idea of something revolutionary, and this is revolutionary. This is a new idea where we're going to operate in a way that is outside the understanding of the status quo. My story is one similar to the founding of this country. And you participate in that story too, because we're a ragtag bunch. As much as we'd like to be more than we are, we're just neighbors and families and individuals who are concerned and are setting out to win this fight. And what I've learned in my time participating in the party, I've learned that people don't know how to get involved. People don't know how to make the change they need to make. And I've struggled to figure out ways to make sure everyone can have a place and participate. But it really comes down to one thing. If you want to make changes, you got to change who's at the helm. Yeah. We need, in the Republican Party and in Idaho, we need vision and we need leadership. Oh, I should probably use it. So, yeah. Well, and Laurel, one of my favorite things Laurel had shared with me some time ago, I had told her, I said, Laurel, what are we going to do with everything that's going on? We got to have a plan. This is before we had ever talked about me potentially running. And Laurel said, you know, I've prayed about it, and I've just had the feeling that it's going to be the grandmas that save the world.
Yeah.
And so, if we had a campaign slogan in this race, it would be what we say, Grammys will save the world, and Laurel represents part of that movement.
Yeah.
Thank you. She is a treasure and has been so supportive. But before I share with you what my plan is, what I want you to know is that this came about because I realized that we have to do something we've never done before. Regular folks have to step up in ways they've never stepped up before. I've never held elected office before, it's true. I've not been in the House or the legislature. Sure, I've been very involved in the Republican Party and have been a delegate for Donald Trump and been to Mar-a-Lago even. And it's his spirit, it's that spirit, right? What Trump showed us. Trump showed America the dark underbelly of America. Yeah. We didn't know how bad it was. We didn't. But we saw that man take on the swamp. And then, while we had so much hope, we put so much hope in him, one of the worst things imaginable happened. We watched as that man put everything on the line to fight for America and to drain the swamp, we watched that man get consumed by it.
Yeah.
Folks, we have a swamp even here in Idaho. I hope you know. We, each of us, bears part of the responsibility of what happened to President Trump. Because while we look to him to drain the nastiest, murkiest waters imaginable in Washington, D.C., we didn't clean up our own backyard.
Yeah.
We expected somebody else to take care of all our problems for us. And so if you want to see that spirit come back, if you want to see someone go to D.C. and drain the swamp, it starts in Idaho.
Yeah. Amen.
Right here. We're going to take care of our own backyard, and then we're going to make sure that we've taken the onus off somebody else so that they don't have to fight on every corner, because we have a little toehold for freedom right here. And by golly, we are going to fight for it, aren't we? And so with that, I'd like to invite my wife, Holly, and my son, Dallin, to come up quickly. For those of you who don't know, my wife is pregnant, and we got a baby girl coming July 9th. I'm pretty excited about that. I'm really excited about that. And my son, Dallin, is 3 years old. And not many 3-year-olds got to get in front of like 500-600 people, so he's a little shy. But as you can see, he's been raised right. But knowing the situation that we're in right now in Idaho and the situation our nation's in, Holly and I have prayed a lot. We've pondered a lot. And we prayed to know, where can we best serve this? Where can we best help the cause of conservatism? And so with that, I would like to formally announce that we've decided, and I am going to run for governor of Idaho. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. But we're just a small part of this. Holly and I aren't going to be able to get this done on our own. You know that. We're not. And even now, to get to the point where we're at now, when we put Dallin down at night and lay him down, we say our prayers as a family, and I kiss him on the head. And you know what he tells me now? He never used to tell me that. But he says, "Dada, go to work." So, if anyone asks why I'm doing this, I want you to have the answer. I want you to see it for yourselves right now. I'm doing it for him, and I'm doing it for her.
Amen.
That's why. That's why. Because if I allow socialism to take our state over, and if we lose the last foxhole, that is Idaho, his future is much darker than anybody else's. He's just getting his start. And you know what? We're at a point now in America where he's going to go into school, and they're going to tell him that because of the color of his skin, he owes somebody something, that he is less than his best as himself. And I will be damned if I'm going to send my son to school to hear that, ever.
Yep.
Not on my watch. I'm sorry, I don't curse often. But what I want you to know, I'm not running because I'm the most qualified person in the state of Idaho to run the state of Idaho. But you know, politics has nothing to do with qualifications, and it never has. It never has, folks.
We don't want any more politicians.
No more politicians. Here we go. Woo! Look to the root word, or the Latin and Greek root of the word governor. If you look to it, you'll realize what the proper role of governor really is. It's the person who steers the ship's rudder. The governor is not the one who raises the sails. He's not the one who puts rows in the water. He's not one that makes sure that the deck of the ship is clean. The governor's role is to determine direction. And as I said, Idaho is at a crossroads. And it's going to be us, we the people, that determine which direction we go in. And so I want you to know what direction I want to take the state of Idaho in. It's on my heart to elevate Idaho and insulate our state from what is happening across America right now. I want to rout out the elements of socialism and Marxism that exist in our state government and in the Republican Party. In Idaho, we need a government for the people, not for professional politicians, not for corporate lobbyists, but for you. It's for your family and my family that we need a state government for. And we're now at a point where in order to accomplish that, we have to get our state strong enough to start saying no to the federal government. We have to start saying no. I don't know where to trace the genesis of this idea that whatever the feds say, you just roll over and take it. I don't know where that started, but we've gotten used to it for a long time. A long time. This is why Idaho needs somebody who's not a career politician, because it takes something a whole lot different than what politicians are used to offering to say no to the federal government. They won't do it. They won't do it. But we're going to start. We're going to start. It's going to happen here in Idaho. And we're going to show the rest of the states in this country how to do it. We are going to be the spark that lights the fire. And people are suddenly going to remember that sacred document, the first 10 amendments to our country's Constitution, the Bill of Rights. They're going to remember the 10th one, right? And that is, it's the states that have the power. The states have the power. Part of the reason that we have to do this now is because we have to protect those sacred rights. I want you to know that I believe that this nation was founded by inspired men and women who had an idea for a land unlike any other. And think of the story of America. This is a story where you had a group of people who deposed the most powerful individual in the world. The sun never set on the British flag, they said. It never set. They spanned the globe. And a bunch of ragtag patriots took them on. And they won. And they didn't win because they had more money. They didn't win because they had the connections. They won because they had the heart. They had the will to win. That's what we need now. We need the will to win. It's a decision. It's a decision that you're going to put all the comforts aside. You're going to put the discomforts aside as well. And you're going to commit to the fight. And you're not going to stop until you see us win the day. America needs you. Idaho needs you. And the only way that we can pave the way, the only way we can do it is by protecting those rights. And one of the ones you're going to see them come after, and you're seeing them come after it now, is our Second Amendment rights. I want to be very clear on this point. There is no gray area here. Men and women in this country have the right to bear arms, and it shall not be infringed. It is very clear. It is very clear. Anybody who does not honor and respect that right is putting politics above principles.
That's right.
We need a governor that's going to honor the Idaho and the U.S. Constitution. Why is that important? You got to ask yourself. Because the Constitution of this state and of this country is built around a set of principles, a set of ideas. And if you know the principles are timeless and true, then you know the natural consequences that follow those principles will come. They are guaranteed if the principles are true. Well, our Constitution was founded on correct principles. And when we elect people who don't honor that, they betray everything that is beautiful about this country.
That's right.
So, everyone recognizes that we have a problem, a politician problem, a political problem. And so one of the things I want you to know that I've set out to accomplish is that if you find me to be that person, that agent for change in this state, if you work and help me get to that position, one of the things that I want to do is under the Idaho State Constitution, the governor is granted the authority to establish a temporary department of the government. It's a 2-year maximum lifetime, because anyone here knows I can't stand all the agencies. We're not going to grow government, okay? We're done with that too. I want to found a department for government transparency and accountability, because we have to start investigating and prosecuting corruption in government. We have to. I'm sorry, but when you vote for a bill and then the governor vetoes that bill and it comes back and then you don't vote to override the veto, you are in question because something went wrong there. Something went wrong there. Suddenly you agreed with the bill and a few days later you didn't. Those things need to be explored. We need explanations why. And that is exactly what we need to start doing, is investigating cronyism and corruption in government. And this is the point that led me to run, because anyone here who knows me knows I know how to kick the rocks over, and I know how to get to the bottom of it. And I have found countless examples of problems in our state government that desperately need to be addressed. And we are going to fix it. And we have to. The other thing I want to touch on is that we need to understand, to honor our system of government, our checks and balances, that we cannot keep sending the same people over and over and over into office. Some are great patriots. I don't want to cast aspersions on all. We've had some incredible patriots that have served our state, have served this country. There's no doubt about it. But there's a whole lot of other folks who haven't, because they sold us down the river. One of the things that I am going to push hard for, going to push relentlessly for, is that in Idaho, our governor needs to be term limited, and we need to fight to put term limits on Congress. We have to. There's no more time to play games anymore or hope for something different. Term limits is something that is needed to restore our republic. Part of my platform to create a government for the people is that we need to be more cautious about how our state spends money. Let me give you a perfect example. Did you know that when you pay taxes, and those taxes in this state are funneled to support 20 departments and 181 agencies across the state? Yes, you heard me correctly. It's over 180 agencies in this state. There's only 1.8 million people in Idaho. 181 agencies, holy smokes. Well, let me tell you how that happens. That's because every time a new agency is created and it gets a budget, that agency looks to see how it can continue to perpetuate itself. The agency's stated purpose is one thing, but that gets forgotten over time. And now it's gotten to a point where we have agencies in our state government that use our tax dollars to hire corporate lobbyists to go and lobby the legislature to prevent any oversight. They go and tell folks in the legislature, well, you know, you don't actually need to monitor us. We're pretty good. Yeah, it's a bad joke, really. They're not pretty good. They need real oversight. And so, on my first day as governor, I will ban all state agencies from hiring lobbyists. Day one. Day one. We're not going to take time to celebrate. We're going to take time to make some change. The celebrating can happen when we win. The other point I want you to know about, people in Idaho don't realize this, but there is a tool that the governor in this state has that governors in other states have wielded with incredible power. In fact, one of our most cherished figures in the cause of conservatism, Ronald Reagan, whose story is one that I find great hope in, because Ronald Reagan ran for office. For those who don't know, he was a Democrat initially. He was an actor in Hollywood. And he would give after-dinner speeches. And he would rail against the fascists. And everybody would cheer because this is, post-World War II when America was at the height of its power. And people would cheer him on as he railed against the fascists. And one day somebody said, Ronald, you sure talk a tough game about fascism, but you really ought to talk about the evils of communism. And Ronald Reagan said, yeah, that is a conversation we need to have. So his next after-dinner speech, he's in Hollywood. He gives the same speech he had given many times before, but this time he changed it to talk about the evils of Marxism. And when he did, he was horrified because the crowd was dead silent. Reagan realized the communists had taken over Hollywood in his time. Folks, that was like 70 years ago. I don't know if you realize that, right? It freaked him out, scared him. And so even though he had no experience as an actor, he decided to run for governor of California as a Republican, to reject socialism and communism in the state government then. And at the time, you had LBJ with his Great Society welfare programs shoving money onto the states and subjugating the states to the feds. And Ronald Reagan ran to fight that. He ran to fight the communists, and he ran to fight an onerous federal government. That's his story. I don't know if you realize that. Well, I'm here to tell you, folks, it's 2021. We have a problem with Marxism and communism in America now.
Right.
It's back. But Ronald Reagan dedicated to winning that fight. And he ran in California, and in California, he used a measure called the line item veto that allows the governor the power to go through bills or appropriations, I don't want to get in the weeds here, and strike out all the special interest pork. And you know what? 1966, as California was starting to go the wrong direction, he cleaned up that state. He took a red pen and got rid of all the special interest pork. And it saved California for at least a little bit longer. Some of my friends here are from California. There's no permanent victories, my friends. You know that. Well, he went on to be president of the United States, and you know what? He took down the Soviet Union, didn't he? He committed himself to winning that fight. Idaho's governor has the power of a line item veto. And when I ask people who've been involved their whole lives, they don't even know that. Never gets used. In fact, 99% of the bills that go out of the Joint Finance and Appropriations Committee get passed. Just so you know. 99%. And they actually think it's a symbol of their effectiveness and efficiency. And I'm thinking, man, you guys really ought to be less efficient then. That's a problem. We need a little more debate maybe. But in order to contain and restrain our state, we have to quit feeding the beast. And we have to start rewarding people for their hard work. And so to do that, I'm going to abolish the income tax in Idaho. It's possible. Don't let them tell you it ain't. There are 10 states in America that don't have an income tax. We have an income tax that's higher than 30 other states in Idaho. Did you know that? And we just got historic tax relief. That was cute. That was cute. Let's give folks real tax relief. Let's get rid of it entirely. For the average Idahoan, that's going to put $3,000 more in your pocket. We're going to starve the beast. And this doesn't mean that our state's going to not be able to function or that we're going to bring about the apocalypse. But trust me, they'll provide some really convincing stories. You guys may or may not realize, though, we have something now called fake news. There's fake news, folks. Don't believe everything you read in the papers. Because if you do, you're going to be subjugated to socialist scheme after socialist scheme. It's time to start calling it how it is. We need to stop compromising with socialists. Please. No more electing leaders that are going to go and continue to back down as we see all the things we cherish ruined. Stop sending them back to do that. We don't have to compromise in Idaho. This is a conservative state. And so we can abolish the income tax. But I get it. Even if you abolish it, there may be somebody who tries to sneak it back in. Those things happen the last few days of the legislature. I don't quite understand it, but they happen. And I'll tell you something that only one other state has ever done, and it's not a state we totally want to pattern ourselves after. However, in this way, they've been able to protect themselves. In an 8-year time frame, Colorado, a state in which I grew up in which much of my family still lives in, I grew up in the Western Slopes, when they were still under Republican control, they passed a taxpayer's Bill of Rights, and this is revolutionary. You need to know, because in an 8-year time period, after Obama was elected, that state became a socialist haven and became a Democrat trifecta. The Republicans lost everything. But you want to know something interesting? Colorado's income tax is way less than Idaho's, even though they have leftists running everything. And you know why that is? Because they passed a taxpayer Bill of Rights, which means that anytime, and Idaho needs to do the same thing, we're going to do it here in Idaho, anytime any elected official wants to raise state taxes on working class Idahoans, you need to approve it first. A taxpayer Bill of Rights. We say if we're going to send them more money to grow government, it will protect this state for generations, I promise you. It has to happen. The last thing I want to touch on, the last important part of my platform, because we're a young family, and I've seen what the education system has done to a lot of other great families. It is long overdue, folks. We need school choice. Long overdue. Families should be empowered to choose how and where their children are educated. And our tax dollars should go to the school of our choice. And if they want to run their racist school that teaches socialist ideologies, then we can change where we send our kids to school and change where the revenues go. And this is a state that still has a lot of great patriots. Look at this. I don't know what the media will report, but I don't know if you realize we had parking for about 350, and you guys are parked along the streets here. We probably have 500 to 600 people in attendance today. Thank you. The media will take a picture in 2 hours, and they'll report that as the attendance. But school choice is important because it gives us real diversity. Not this garbage they're teaching where diversity means skin color. You can fit 12 different folks of different races in a room, and they can still agree on every bad idea. That's not diversity. We need real diversity, diversity in thought, diversity in worldview and perspective. School choice is going to bring real diversity, not the garbage that's being forced on us. We need a robust system of charter and private schools to supplement the institutional K-12 model. But the last point I want to touch on with you guys, it's one I think that doesn't get enough attention. And it's one that even folks here might not agree on every point. But folks, we have right now in Idaho and across America the biggest human rights crisis in our nation's history. This country has now terminated over 60 million babies. 60 million. What is the world missing today in the culture and the sciences, arts? How many times have we terminated the person that would have gone on to cure cancer? There are empty seats here now because those folks never got their chance. But in Idaho, we're going to lead the charge. We're going to be the ones to end this human rights crisis. We are going to support the sanctity of life. You're darn right. And we don't need to continue to say, well, what about the courts? What about the courts? Folks, quit backing down. Time to stand up for what's right, not what's easy. But this is just a small beginning of this movement. You represent part of it. I can't do this alone, and it's not just about me. It's about an idea. It's an idea where we as regular Americans are going to start standing up for what we believe in. And we're going to start enacting change. We're finding our voices again. Donald Trump showed us the way. He led out, and some days you thought, holy smokes, he's got to turn off Twitter. Yeah. And other days you thought, wow, why hasn't anyone ever said it? It's the darn truth. The guy just said what he believed. Yeah. You don't have to agree with him on every item. You don't have to agree with me on every item. But what we knew about Donald Trump is that he took the spirit of change. He took the spirit of the working class American to Washington, D.C. Yeah. And it's one of the greatest ironies in modern politics, because he wasn't really a member of the working class at all, right? And just like you would expect to elect a governor with all this vast experience to be able to make change, we're going to do something new. We're going to elect somebody who hasn't had their perspective molded by the status quo. We're going to elect somebody who's going to be like a wrecking ball. We're going to bring about a lot of change. And here's how I know we're already gaining traction. I remember telling Tracy, I said, Tracy, there's a mile marker in this journey. And that mile marker is, we're gaining traction when the smear campaigns start. And politics just wouldn't be any fun without a good old smear campaign. Well, folks, I'm glad to tell you we're gaining traction. That's good. There's an old World War II analogy that you knew very distinctly when you were flying overhead and it was time to drop your bombs. And it was when you were getting flak. It was when you were taking hits. You were over the target. I'm taking hits now, and it's because I'm over the target.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to back down. We're not going to change course. We're not going to give in to smear campaigns that have kept good people out of politics for generations. We're going to take the hits, and we're going to stand firm because we have to. There's no more time to back down. And so here's what's on my heart. I hope that Idaho can be the state, the spark that lights the fire, that we can show the way for the rest of America to take back this country. And so with that, I, by myself, on my own merits, with my own qualities, I will not be able to connect with 115,000 people. Won't happen. But with you, we're going to win. If you commit to this fight, we will win. We will do something in America that they have never seen before. And it's true. I would be the, hey, you want to know who the youngest governor in America is right now? It's Ron DeSantis. You think we ought to copy that a little bit? Why don't we give Florida a run for their money? It's true, I would be the youngest governor in America right now. But here's what I want you to know. Here's my promise, that I will surround myself with wise counsel, that I will surround myself with patriots whose heart is in the right place. I will not surround myself with special interest groups. I will not surround myself with lobbyists and agency bureaucrats. I will surround myself with you, the people. That is my solemn promise to you. That will never change. And this moment will serve as a constant reminder to me that you are the ones to lead the charge. And so I need your help, though. I'm asking for your help now. We are in a fight like you couldn't imagine. But folks, what people tend to love about me, I punch way above my weight. And we're doing it now. Right now, you know, each morning, we're getting rigged up on Instagram and all this other stuff. I'm still learning how to post on Instagram. You'd think as a young person I'd be better at this. There's just better things to do in life. But every day I get some notification of some staffer in the governor's office who's following me. They're saying, well, what are they doing over there? And I have to blame some of it on Tracy. She gets me in a lot of trouble, this one. Stay away from her. Stay away from Tracy Kalish. I need your help, and I'm asking for it. For those of you who would like to see this happen, please consider volunteering for us. Every one of you has a role to play. The roles may be different. Some of you have connections, and you can help us raise money so that we could get some wicked campaign gear like a bus. When's the last time you've seen that in Idaho? We're just going to have fun, too. We got to have some fun, right? Please help us fundraise, volunteer. It will make a world of difference for our country and for this state. And so with that, I want to thank the Patriots for coming out today, for taking time out of your day and coming here, because it is going to make an impact, because they are watching us right now and they want to know, do the Patriots still have any fire left in their belly? Yeah. And we do. And we do. Thank you. God bless you guys. God bless Idaho. And God bless the United States of America. Thank you.